All right, welcome. ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Monday, the 20th of February. Good to have you aboard. We are a Blue Wire podcast presented by Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you're dealing with a personal injury, if you've been in an accident, you call our sponsors from day number one, Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. Mark Anidjar, Glenn Levine, Ellie Anidjar. First, you call 911. It's an emergency situation. Then you get an attorney at Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys on the phone immediately. 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. We got a lot going on here today. I'm glad to have you with us here on a President's Day. Happy President's Day, everybody. Pat Riley, best president. Happy President's Day to all of the great past, current, former presidents. Yes, a wonderful day, President's Day. I'm going to the Panthers game this afternoon. We're going to celebrate President's Day watching the Panthers take on the Anaheim Ducks. That's a 1 p.m. game today. So figure, hey, maybe it's an easy 2 points the Panthers get. Finish the road trip 2-2, 3-1. Getting at least 5 out of 8 points would have been great, but they got that win against Washington. That was enormous. A thrilling victory in Minnesota to start the trip. So maybe you can get a couple easy points against Anaheim today. 1 p.m. FLA Live Arena. Not expecting a real good crowd on a Monday afternoon, but nonetheless, Ducks are the worst team in the league right now. And the Panthers, they find themselves just 1 point back of both of the wild card spots. So we'll get into a little bit more of that coming up. NBA All-Star Weekend, to recap, not a good weekend for the NBA. That's right, you heard me right. Not a good weekend for the NBA. The Heat are back in action on Friday. The All-Star break will conclude then. They'll have the Milwaukee Bucks. So, and of course, everyone wants to hear, we want to talk a little bit about the Heat. They're about to sign Kevin Love. As of this recording, that's not official, but it's happening. The Heat are signing Kevin Love. So I think this was a really good weekend for the Heat. Not a good weekend for the NBA, but a good weekend for the Heat. We'll get back to that. So this weekend, very busy this entire weekend. My son had soccer tournament, Weston Cup. We had WWE Elimination Chamber. Make sure you watch, you can watch it too, youtube.com/@ZASLOW Show. But it's still real to me. New episode dropped last night. It was a reaction show to Saturday night's massive WWE Premium Live event, Elimination Chamber. We'll get to that during Big Deal, Not a Big Deal, just a little bit. But make sure you go back and you watch, you listen to that, which, like I said, the normal episode is Saturdays. We didn't do it until doing a reaction show on Sunday. It dropped last night because I had a very busy weekend. So go back and listen to it. It's still real to me. Make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that good stuff as far as wherever you're listening to your ZASLOW Show 2.0 podcast. That's really good for the algorithm. And you know, the algorithm is how I get the monies, and then it all works out and everybody's so happy, all right? So let's make sure we do that. Anyway, so it's still real to me. That dropped last night, reaction show to WWE Elimination Chamber. I was in Atlanta this weekend. I was in Atlanta for just 24 hours, in and out. I gave Atlanta the all in out. And I was there from very early Saturday morning to very early Sunday morning. My a good friend of mine, his daughters were bat mitzvahed, so I flew in right quick and just, gave it the all in out. Went to the services, a little dinner on Saturday night, right back home Sunday. I wanted to get back to be able to catch the rest of my son's tournament, Weston Cup. Weston Select U14 boys had a very good week, very good showing. They were 2-1. They barely missed out on the championship game. That's okay. So anyway, I'm normally pretty responsible. Although, I do have to start out this story with, I did it again. Everybody knows when it comes to traveling with me, I'm not the best at planning as far as the weather. Very famously, I went to see, if you're a longtime listener of ZASLOW Show, I went to go see Pearl Jam in St. Louis, Missouri. It was like 10 years ago, 8, 9, 10 years ago. And I flew up there on my own. I was meeting a friend. So anyway, I get on the plane. I mean, this was in September-ish. Yeah, September or October. I get on the plane. They announce what the weather's like in St. Louis when we land. They're like 20 degrees. Oh my God. I'm in shorts and a shirt. I have not packed for this. So that was a disaster. I did it again. My wife told me, make sure you take your coat. Make sure you take a jacket. It's in the 30s in Atlanta this weekend. Forgot the coat. I get to Atlanta. It was cold as hell on Saturday morning. It was in the 30s. It was very cold. But anyway, that's not the point of me telling the story. Normally, I'm a responsible guy overall. And my travel situation this weekend was very irresponsible. So, 7:30 flight out of Fort Lauderdale on Saturday. I get to the airport, Fort Lauderdale Airport, early Saturday morning. It's like 6:40-ish, okay? 6:50, I don't know, yeah, like 6:40. And airport's empty, so that's not an issue, no problem. I go to get my I go to get my boarding pass. I'm printing it out. It prints out the boarding, but mind you, it's 6:40 in the morning, 7:30 flight. I get the boarding pass. It says 9:30 on it. I go, what the hell? And then I get my phone. I look at my phone. I mixed up my flights. The 7:30 flight was Sunday morning out of Atlanta. I'm on a 9:30 flight out of Fort Lauderdale. So I'm at Fort Lauderdale Airport almost 3 hours ahead of a flight to Atlanta, which is an hour and 10-minute flight. Terrible. So I walk up to the help desk, I'm like, I say, listen, I'm so stupid. I mixed up the flights. Can I get on an earlier flight here? I thought my flight was earlier. This is a 9:30 flight. She's like, well, what time do you want to get out of here? I go, now? So luckily, I didn't have any bags to check. She said, listen, I can put you on a 7:30. You got to hustle on over there, but you'll make it. Boom. So that worked out. I made it. That was awesome. But we're not done. So the next morning, Sunday, I'm staying at my buddy's house. I got a for real 7:30 flight now, okay? I'm reserving an Uber the night before. Like, it's late. I got some booze in me. Oh my God, I can't do that anymore. The late night, the drinking, the early wake up. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I already set the Uber to pick me up. The Uber's gonna get me at 5:50. I'm in my buddy. He's still asleep. Him and his family are still asleep, but it's okay. I'm taking care of the situation. I'm in the kitchen there. I'm looking at my phone. When's the Uber coming? 5:50. I can see the guy on the map. He's a mile away. 2 minutes go by, 3 minutes go by, 5 minutes go by, 7, 8 minutes. Car hasn't moved. Dude's got to be asleep, right? Like that's him at his house, and the car hasn't left the driveway, right? Dude never moved. I tried sending messages, nothing. So I lose 10 minutes there. Now I got to call another Uber. It's not even 6 a.m. That takes 10 minutes to get to me, as you would expect. I've lost 20 minutes at this point. By the way, I almost puked in the Uber on the way to the airport. I was very hungover. Almost threw up. But I did not. So I lose 20 minutes there. And I still get to the airport again. I got to the airport about 6:45 for a 7:30 flight. Okay, this Atlanta airport was packed. The security line, and I got clear. So I can go through the quicker line. Security line was so long. It took so long to get through. I'm the guy who was sprinting through the airport. I get to the gate, doors closed, plane's gone. Missed my flight. Only the second time it's ever happened to me in my life. Missed my flight. And luckily, I went to the next counter. I said, listen, I'm sorry, I missed my flight. What's the next flight out? Can you get me on another flight? And they said, listen, we got another flight that's leaving in an hour, 8:30. I can put you on standby. Do you think I'm going to get on? I think there's a decent chance you're going to find a seat. What do you know? I got on. So I only had to wait another hour. Otherwise, the next flight they were putting me on was at 1:30. I was going to have to wait another 6 hours. Oh, my God. And then I would have missed my son's game. Anyway, so I got on that flight. Terrible travel weekend. Mostly my fault. All right? Certainly Saturday, my fault. Sunday, not so much my fault, but whatever, it is what it is. Missed the flight. Terrible travel weekend for your boy, for your two-time champion broadcaster. Not a whole lot I could have done by it. My wife thinks I'm stupid, obviously. I didn't tell her any of this until I got home because I don't need her telling me I'm stupid while I'm out there. That brings the self-esteem down. But I waited till we got home, so then she just laughed at me. And here we go. So there you have it. That was my weekend. We capped off the weekend, by the way. Today's President's Day. So my wife, my kids, they don't have school today. President's Day. And last night we decided, hey, let's do ZASLOW family movie night. Let's get after it. So we watched a movie that we've all seen before, but it's been a long time, and I forgot how funny this movie was. We watched the movie The Interview. That's the one with Seth Rogen and James Franco, where it got taken out of theaters because Kim Jong-un, the movie is them trying to assassinate Kim Jong-un, and the real Kim Jong-un got upset, and Seth Rogen's getting death threats in real life, and it was a whole big thing. They took it out of the theaters. We'd seen that movie. We watched it again last night. That movie's funny as hell. I forgot how funny that movie is. If you're just, it's vulgar. I mean, there's a lot of sexual innuendo situations. You know, I got my 11-year-old next to me. It is what it is. We're very open, very liberal here as far as that stuff goes in the ZASLOW mansion. But if you're looking for something really funny, that movie is funny as hell. I gave you an Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania semi-review on Friday because we saw the movie Thursday afternoon. Enjoyed it. It's not great. It's a fun movie. Thought it was fine. Enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Obviously, Kang, he's the main attraction to it. I liked MODOK a lot, too. Very controversial, the opinions on MODOK from that movie. I liked MODOK. I thought it was fun the way that they represented the character. Anyway, let's get to the heat. So, we have a very controversial ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll question today. Today's ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll question, go to @ZASLOW Show on Twitter, and here's what we got. You can also, of course, hit me up @ZaslowJ on Instagram. I'm an influencer there, but I love interacting with you guys. @ZaslowShow Show on Twitter. Hit me up. Today's poll question. It's early on in the poll, so make sure you go vote. Like the results, it's not a ton of votes just yet. So go on out there. I only just posted it. ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll question @ZaslowShow Show. What should the Heat starting five look like? They're adding Kevin Love. Do we make a change there? What do we do? What should the Heat starting five look like? Butler, Bam, Hero, and then I give you choices. Those three we know are in. We got to fill the other two spots. Butler, Bam, Hero, and here are the choices. Your choices are Max Strus and Caleb Martin. So essentially, keep it what it's been with Kyle Lowry having quit. Max Strus and Kevin Love. Do we put the new addition in the starting lineup next to Bam? Kyle Lowry, when he returns? Lowry and Kevin Love? Or Caleb Martin and Kevin Love? You'd essentially move Martin to the guard spot. Instead of being an undersized forward, he's a big guard and Kevin Love. So what should the Heat starting five look like? Bam, Butler, Hero, and your choices. Strus and Martin, Strus and Love, Lowry and Love, Martin and Love. And right now, the leader at 40% of the vote is Lowry and Love. So 40% of the ZASLOW Show 2.0 listeners right now want a starting lineup of Lowry, Hero, Butler, Love, Bam. There you go. That's 40% of the vote right now. So there you have it. All right. So, okay, so where would my vote go? My vote would go to Strus and Love. So we'll get into more, which by the way has 28% of the vote, Strus and Love. Meaning I'm not starting Kyle Lowry. But anyway, I'll get back to that, to the starting lineup in a second here. The Heat are signing Kevin Love. The buyout was completed. He's got to clear waivers right now. I think that takes 48 hours. He already announced on Twitter he's signing with Love. It's being reported everywhere. I told you starting the beginning of last week, I think he's a perfect signing for the Heat. I think he will choose the Heat. I think the Heat will sign him. It made sense for me from day one. This is a good character guy, good locker room guy. Teammates always love him. He's a champion. He's big. He's an excellent rebounder. He's a really good passer, especially the outlet passes, which the Heat could use a little bit more transition, fast break points. You know, one of the things that Kyle Lowry, maybe the only thing that Kyle Lowry is still good at, is that long outlet pass to Jimmy Butler. Love can do that too. Love's one of the all-time best at that. So he also adds a guy who could play next to Bam, who could shoot the three. So this year, in just 40 games of action, and he was out of the Cavs rotation, which is why he wanted to get the buyout, and because he wants to play for the next contract. That's what's happening. Wow, ZASLOW, he left the Cavaliers, who were number 4, to join number 7 Miami. That's kind of stupid. Well, no, it's not stupid because he wants to join a team that is going to be a playoff team, and most importantly, he wants to join a team that he can be featured, that he's going to get regular minutes so he can get that one final contract in his career. Now, we're not talking like a long contract, but now that he's going to be a free agent after this season, you could see him, he probably wants a 2-year deal somewhere. Maybe wants like a 2-year, I don't even know what the money would be, but he wants his last multi-year contract of his career. So he's got to go somewhere where A, they're going to play meaningful games, and B, he's going to be a regular part of the rotation. He fits perfectly next to Bam. It's very similar situation Chris Bosh, although Love, much better rebounder. At this point in his career, I don't know, but Love has always been an excellent rebounder, and this will help the Heat. This is a very good signing. Will he start with the Heat right now? I don't know. They got a little bit of practice time. Like, I think players report back on Wednesday. The Heat's next game is on Friday. I don't know. I don't know if he'll start right away. I think he will eventually start. I think he should eventually start. I think he will eventually start because what you want is, and here's also the thing, the Heat apparently are going to sign Cody Zeller also, who was released from Portland, spent most of his career in Charlotte, former number 4 overall pick back in 2013. I mean, this guy for his career has been a, like a 9 and 8 guy. He's got size. He's a 7-footer, competent big man. This year, his first year in Portland, spent the rest, first 9-10 years in Charlotte. He was only averaging 5 points and 5 rebounds for Portland, but he's big. He could block some shots, a big body around the basket, and he's a rebounder. He could finish around the basket too. The Heat all of a sudden got a lot bigger this weekend. This was a good weekend for the Heat. They got a lot bigger, and you're getting Yurtseven back. Is Yurtseven going to be ready by Friday? I don't know, but we're getting there. We're getting close. So adding Love, Zeller, and Yurtseven returning, now the Heat they actually have some size. They've gotten a lot bigger. And here's why I think it's important to start Kevin Love. You start Kevin Love because then when you're bringing in a sub, when Love goes to the bench, you're bringing in either probably Yurtseven or eventually, I don't think Zeller's going to play a ton. He's another big body to have on the bench. Yurtseven's going to play ahead of him. But you bring in a guy like Yurtseven when you're playing against a traditional big man. A guy like Embiid, where this way Bam doesn't have to guard the big man. In a situation like Philadelphia, how would it look if you could use a big man, a guy like Yurtseven, to guard Embiid, or a guy like Zeller to guard Embiid, so that Bam can guard James Harden? So Bam can guard one of the perimeter guys. If you don't have one of those big guys in there, Bam is stuck guarding Embiid. That's obviously not a good matchup because Bam is smaller. I mean, look, Embiid versus anyone's not a good matchup for the defense. But Bam is smaller, and this way, you don't have Bam on a perimeter player. Imagine now you can have a big guy, Zeller or Yurtseven, guarding the center, and Bam can guard a perimeter guy. Helps the defense a lot. So I would have Love in the starting lineup so the big man can eventually come in for Love. Or if you want to go small, Caleb Martin comes in for Love, who's been a starter all season and certainly can. I know a lot of people are down on Caleb Martin to start. I have not been. Caleb Martin's been fine, man. But now they got a lot bigger this weekend. So, Love, great locker room guy. I think it rejuvenates the team as well. Guy's been a winner for most of his career. Won a championship, obviously, 2016 in Cleveland. I think this is a very, very good signing. And who knows, maybe he sticks around for a couple years. Maybe it's a situation like Shane Battier, where Battier, end of his career, has got a specific role, plays the last, Battier was here, final 3 years of his career, 12, 13, 14. Maybe that's what winds up happening here with Kevin Love. I'd be all right with that. This is a very good signing for the Heat. So go vote right now at ZASLOW Show, ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll question. All right. What should the Heat's starting lineup look like? Butler, Bam, Hero, and then do you go with Strus and Martin, Strus and Love, Lowry and Love, Martin and Love? The leader right now, 42% of the vote now, is Lowry and Love. I would go Strus and Love. This means that the Heat are not signing Russell Westbrook. They're using those 2 spots they had on Love and Zeller. So I guess it means they think that Lowry is going to come back in relatively short order. I don't know. I don't particularly care. Maybe they've had a conversation. I saw there was a report. I think maybe it was Anthony Chang from the Herald that the Heat have spoken to Lowry. They've hashed some things out. I mean, what is there for the Heat? What is there for the Heat to hash out to make Lowry feel good? Heat have done nothing wrong, and the Heat don't owe this guy anything. What have the Heat done for Lowry to be upset? You're terrible. I mean, like he signed the contract wearing a ski mask. But anyway, this is the perfect time to shift Lowry to the bench. You know, we're not talking about mid-season moving Dwayne Wade to the bench. We're talking about Kyle Lowry here. This is the perfect time to move him to the bench. The Heat don't owe this guy anything. And I know some people are voting, that it should be Lowry in the start. Or the leader right now is Lowry and Love. I'm bringing him off the bench. I would keep Strus there, and I think there's an argument for Martin over Strus in the starting lineup. But I'm keeping Strus there. I like the threat of three-point shooting, even though Martin is a better three-point shooter than Strus. He is. I'll circle back to that in a second. But I would go Strus and Love in the starting lineup next to Hero, Bam, Butler. You got enough ball handlers there. You got enough, do you have enough defense there? Butler and Bam. Strus is fine. He's a fine defender. Hero, a little bit weak defensively, obviously. Love has never been a great defender. So do you make a case there for Martin in the starting five over Strus? I think there's a case to be made. But Love in the starting lineup, spaces the floor, gives you that shooting. I still like Strus in the starting lineup right now. Now is the perfect time to move Lowry to the bench. Lowry certainly doesn't help you on the defensive end. He's a sieve out there. This is the perfect time for Lowry to come off the bench. The Heat don't owe this guy anything. You came back. You've been gone forever. It feels like you quit. You're going to come off the bench. We're going to try this, all right? How about you do what helps the team? That's what he says. Says, I'm going to do whatever helps the team. Let's see it. Put your money where your mouth is. Put all your money where your mouth is. Then give the money back to the team, all right? Give it all back to the team. That's neither here nor there. So I thought overall this was a good weekend for the Heat. They got bigger. The Kevin Love addition helps. I think it rejuvenates the team. Great character guy. He's a champion in that locker room. He's now one of just two champions, right, in the locker room. The only other one is Kyle Lowry. So one of just two champions now in the locker room. Not counting UD. I guess I should count UD. UD's won the most. He's won more than both of those guys combined. 3-2. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, the Heat are back in action on Friday. They have the Milwaukee Bucks. They find themselves at this break a half game back of number 6 New York. So it's crunch time now, baby. We got, what are we talking here? 23 games remaining? And you got a couple games, including next Friday, against the New York Knicks. So this is it, man. Half game back in number 6 New York. They're 3 games ahead, I believe, of number 8 Atlanta. That's not so important because we want to get out of the play-in situation anyway. But good weekend for the Heat. Time for Lowry to come off the bench if/when he returns. And as far as their starting 5, yeah, I'm starting Kevin Love. I would start him right away. I don't know if they're going to, but I'm starting Kevin Love, and I'm probably keeping Strus in that starting lineup, although I would give consideration to Caleb Martin. And that may actually be the easiest thing to do, is to keep Caleb Martin in the lineup, because you can easily spin Strus back to the bench, because Strus has only been in the starting lineup with Lowry out. Martin's been a starter the whole year, so it looks like a demotion for Martin with Kevin Love. I mean, it shouldn't be, but it looks like a demotion for Martin with Kevin Love coming in. If Martin stays in the starting lineup, now you have a big guard instead of a small forward, and Strus goes back to where he was off the bench. No big deal. Now you got a big backcourt, and you stay very defensive with Martin, Butler, and Bam. So there is a case to be made. There's something to be said for Martin staying in the starting lineup. And by the way, Strus is just a 34% three-point shooter this year. Max Strus, 2 of his 3 years with the Heat, has been a 34% three-point shooter. It's average. He had the 1 year last year where he was 41%. which is excellent. 2 of his 3 years with the Heat, he's an average three-point shooter. Martin's better this year. I think Martin's at 37. Even though it doesn't feel like Martin's the three-point threat that Strus is, Strus has been an average three-point shooter 2 of his 3 years with the team, including this year. So it's not crazy at all to move Strus back to the bench where he's been most of the year and start Caleb Martin. But I'm not bringing Lowry back into the starting lineup. Nope. Perfect opportunity. It feels like the dude quit. He stinks. Team doesn't owe him anything except for that money, which is unfortunate. Just bring him off the bench. All right, so there you go. Got some on the Heat for you. Let's get to the NBA All-Star Weekend. First of all, I was out Saturday night, All-Star Saturday night. That's usually fun. The three-point shootout never lets you down. So I recorded it, and I watched the three-point shootout Sunday morning. I watched it yesterday morning at the airport. Already told you, had some time to kill. Missed my flight. So, I watched the three-point shootout. Hero's performance was fine, but he came out missing his first 7 shots. He then followed by making his next 10. So, if he didn't come out so bad, those first 7 shots, he would have made it to the finals. Instead, he finished with 18. The only 2 guys who finished below him were Julius Randle, very bad. Kevin Huerter, very embarrassing. Damian Lillard wins the three-point shot. Who did I give you on Friday? Who did I tell you I thought was a good play? Plus 450, Damian Lillard. He wasn't the favorite. The favorite was Buddy Hield, who I think was plus 350, either plus 350 or plus 400. Lillard was plus 450. I told you, I think Lillard's the play. And he put on a show. He was fantastic. He wins in the final against Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton. So, Damian Lillard's your three-point shootout champion. That's all I watched from All-Star Saturday nights. The dunk contest, I know that Mac McClung, I don't know who that is. I don't know that fool. Mac McClung won the dunk contest, and then I saw the highlights of him, and dunks were cool. It was really cool. But here's the thing, man. He's a G Leaguer. And it's not like when the NBA, we're talking late 90s, where Craig Hodges, old Chicago Bulls guard, where Craig Hodges was in it wasn't even the D League. He was in the CBA. They let him come in and play in the three-point shootout. He was defending his title. He's won it a couple years, Craig Hodges, with the Bulls. And you got to let him defend. Craig Hodges, the OG three-point shootout guy. Total role player. Guy who, he didn't even usually play. He was a bench player who sometimes got to play. But he was awesome in the three-point shootout. At the time, he had the record. I think he had 26 out of 30 points at one point, and had the record for most consecutive makes, 17 in a row. Go look it up. Go look up Craig Hodges, three-point shootout. He had that record. Probably still is a record for consecutive makes. But it's not like Craig Hodges coming in to defend his three-point championship while he's in the CBA. Mac McClung's a G Leaguer. I think he's appeared in 2 NBA games this year. Right now he's with Philly, who signed him earlier in the week. So Mac McClung, and this isn't his fault. Mac McClung had a great performance, really cool performance out of him. But a G Leaguer winning the dunk contest is not a good thing. A G Leaguer won the dunk contest because the NBA stars don't want to participate. And it's been like this for a while. A G Leaguer winning the dunk contest because the All-Stars don't want to perform is not a good thing for the league. And it's actually emblematic of the NBA player today. I've been telling you about this all, the NBA player does 2 things better than anybody else. The NBA player wants 2 things: to complain and to not play. And as a result, you got a G Leaguer who wins the dunk contest. I hate doing when I was a kid, when I was growing up, Vince Carter, Shawn Kemp, Dominique Wilkins, Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler. These are the guys you have in the dunk contest. Now, this is not the G League All-Star game. It's the NBA All-Star game. You got a G Leaguer winning the dunk contest? It's a problem, man. And of course the NBA player who doesn't want to play in the regular season, of course he's not going to want to perform in the All-Star weekend. And also, it's not just that. This is another effect of social media. The NBA player is so obsessed with social media and how everything looks. God forbid they're in the dunk contest and they lose to a G Leaguer. Oh my God! Oh my God! You lose the dunk contest, everybody's going to be tagging you and talking about you. The clips are going to be on Instagram and on Twitter and on TikTok. This losing the dunk contest would look bad. It's a major problem the NBA has. G Leaguer winning the dunk contest, and we'll get to the game in a second. But a G Leaguer winning the dunk contest, players don't want to play. They don't want to play in the regular season. They're not going to want to play in the All-Star weekend. And they're so soft, these guys, man. I mean, look at the way they drafted the teams this year. NBA players so soft. The stars are not in the dunk contest because, oh my God, can you imagine if they lose? What that's going to look like? And the way that they drafted the All-Star teams this year, it would look so bad. The guy who's picked last, that they picked the reserves first and then the starters afterward. Because a starter being chosen last, he was voted into the game. Everybody knows he wasn't actually the last pick. So the NBA they're fooling you by picking the reserves first. And the last one picked was Jaren Jackson Jr. But he wasn't really the last one because the starters were picked last. So the NBA fooled you. Now you don't know that Jaren Jackson was the last one picked because the reserves were picked first and then they picked the starters. So you got fooled. You don't know that Jaren Jackson Jr. was actually the last pick because they then saved the starters for last. The NBA fooled you. And why do they do that? Because it's the softest league. They're so soft. Oh, it's going to look bad if an all-star is picked last. Oh, look, how would he recover? How would an all-star be able to perform in the dunk contest and not win? How would that look? Oh, it looks so bad. They're so soft, these NBA. I'm sorry, they're so soft. And speaking of soft, and it's funny, she's right. Hey, smart girl. She's right. Amber Wilson on my show used to talk about this. I shouldn't say our show. It was our show. ZASLOW and Amber. Amber used to talk about this. Whenever we would be critical of Roger Goodell, she would always bring up Adam Silver. Everyone loves him, but for some reason, he's Teflon. He can do no wrong. And she was right, because everyone loves Adam Silver, and here's the reality. Softest commissioner this league has ever had. Tissue paper. Softest commissioner the league's ever had. The players, they don't play. The players, they don't honor contracts. The All-Star weekend, guys don't want to be in the dunk contest. The All-Star game, I didn't watch a second of that All-Star game yesterday because I know what it was going to be. I know what it was going to look like. Mike Malone, who coached the Nuggets, who coached one of the teams that I don't remember which one, but Mike Malone he said it's the worst game he's ever seen. And he was asked afterward in the press conference, how do you fix it? How do you fix it? Players don't care about regular season games. Players don't play in regular season games. You think they're going to play in an All-Star game? I watched the only thing of the All-Star game that I saw a couple highlights that the Heat Twitter account put of Bam. Bam had a couple baskets. He was 2 for 2. He had 4 points. I watched one of the highlights of Bam where he inbounded the ball. He bounced it off Jokic's back to inbound it to himself. Dribbled the ball all the way up the floor with zero resistance. And just walked right to the basket and dunked it with 2 hands. It was the most pathetic highlight I've ever seen. Just zero resistance the entire way down. Nobody cares. That's an abomination of a game. Why would I watch that? why would anyone pay hundreds of dollars to go to that game? That game looked horrible. It's embarrassment. And like I said, Adam Silver, everyone loves him. Softest commissioner. You're watching that game yesterday? People are paying all kinds of money to go to that game? That's the product? This was not a good weekend for the NBA. I'm sorry. And David Stern, by the way, RIP, great commissioner. David Stern, I could say he'd be embarrassed. It's a disgrace. I don't even know what David Stern would do. But I know it wouldn't be standing around doing nothing like Adam Silver. Softest commissioner in sports. Now, I'm not saying he's an awful commissioner. Like Rob Manfred of Major League Baseball, he's awful. Adam Silver is not awful at all. But he's very soft. Very, very soft. This was not a good weekend for the NBA. I'm sorry. It was not a good display. Don't kid yourself. A G Leaguer wins the dunk contest because NBA players don't. Why would NBA players want to participate when they don't want to participate in games that matter in regular season? And then that actual All-Star game, it was a disgrace. And again, it hasn't always been like this. When I was a kid growing up, All-Star game was must-see. There was a level of pride. East versus West. They were playing defense. Was the defense great throughout the game? It's average. But then once there was like 5 minutes remaining, oh, they D'd up. It got intense, man. Can you imagine if back, Magic Johnson, I think it was the 92 All-Star game, when Magic, he retired because of HIV, but he played in the All-Star game. And Tim Hardaway actually gave Magic his starting spot. Can you imagine? They tried throughout the whole game. Can you imagine? We get to late in the game, and it was a close game, and they took turns guarding Magic. First, it was Isaiah guarding Magic up top. Then it was Michael Jordan guarding Magic up top. And Magic hit the threes. He wasn't a three-point shooter. Magic hit the threes, iced the game. They actually didn't even finish the game. There was like 5 seconds left. Game over. It was so cool. Everyone was hugging and Magic, and it was such a great scene. Can you imagine? They're not trying the whole game. You never get that moment. How about Michael Jordan in his final All-Star game when he was with the Wizards? It looked like he hit the game-winning shot, and then on the other end, I think Kobe hit a shot to take back the lead. That was annoying because Michael Jordan almost hit the game winner. But you got the back and forth there. There was a level of pride. These guys don't care. They don't care about regular season. And then they get to the All-Star. You think they're going to give a shit. Adam Silver, softest commissioner. And these players, they hate playing. You know what? They complain about not being named All-Stars. And then when they're named an All-Star, they don't do anything. They don't want to play. They don't do anything out there. And you know what? A lot of credit to Anthony Edwards. I really like Anthony Edwards. I know he said the stupid thing in the offseason. He used a homophobic slur. He's a young kid. You got to learn from that. You can't do that. Very, very stupid. But overall, Anthony Edwards, the league's going to be in good hands when Anthony Edwards is one of the faces of the league. He's got a great personality. He's a great talker. He's a lot of fun. He's awesome. Listen to Anthony Edwards after the game.
Anything I could change about the league to make it better? Probably just all the guys sitting resting. That's the only thing I probably don't like. Just play, man. If you 80%, you got to play. I don't like all the sitting, missing games and stuff. Like these people might have enough money to come to one game. You know what I'm saying? And that might be the game they come to, and then you sitting out. You know what I'm saying? So I take pride in trying to play every game because I don't know. It might be one fan that has never seen me play, and I'm trying to play. So that's the only thing I don't like. Guys just sitting out.
Of course. Good. Glad he said it. How could anyone disagree? Most players would disagree. They don't want to play. But Anthony Edwards, he's playing in every game. Just get out there, man. Just get out there and play. Just get out there and play. So good for him for coming out and saying it. This was not a good weekend for the NBA. The commissioner looked super soft. McClung winning the dunk contest, not his fault. Good for him. But him winning the dunk contest is a bad look for the NBA, a G Leaguer. And the performance in the All-Star game, embarrassment. People are paying money for that? Who cares about watching guys stand on the floor? It's wide open dunks? We're not even trying. It's embarrassing. So, also to stick with the NBA, after the game, Anthony Edwards there. Mike Malone told you Mike Malone's worst game he's ever seen. Kevin Durant spoke after the game as well, and he talked about player movement. Is player movement good? It was, look, it's a massive trade deadline. Is player movement good for the league? And Kevin Durant, look, he's allowed to have his opinion there. Kevin Durant, of course it's good. You get a lot of attention. That's good for the league. There's a lot of interest. Player movement's good for stars. It's not good for anyone else. Player movement is good for stars. Why is that good for anyone else? Let's not pretend like the players are demanding trades to small market teams. Player movement's good for the stars. It's not good for anyone else. You don't have players who are demanding to go to Sacramento in the middle of the season or in the middle of their contract. You don't have players who are demanding to go to Detroit. You don't have players who are demanding to go to Portland. You don't have players who are demanding to go to San Antonio. It's not good for the small Orlando. Player movement's good for the stars. It's not good for anyone else. This is Durant thinking it's a good thing because of all the attention that you get, all the interest. This is Durant thinking social media is real. Social media is not real. This is Durant living in that social media bubble. The same social media bubble that keeps players from wanting to be in the dunk contest because if you don't win, everyone's going to make fun of you. This is the same social media that has the NBA make the teams pick the reserves first before the starters so a player doesn't look bad because he was picked last. Kevin Durant thinks social media is real. So all that attention, all the likes, all the retweets, that must be good for the league. It's not real. Players demanding trades is bad because it makes the consumer angry. Anything in any business that makes the consumer angry is bad. Player movement and players demanding trades is great for stars. It's terrible for everyone else. The consumer being angry is not a good thing. I'm fired up over a lot of things from the NBA weekend. I am. It's my favorite sport. It's my favorite league, although you may not be able to tell. And I think this weekend was a bad look for the NBA. Except the three-point shootout. Three-point shootout's awesome. Otherwise, really bad look for the NBA. Not a good weekend. It was not. I'm sorry. You'll have to convince me otherwise. Make sure you go vote again. At ZASLOW Show on Twitter. ZASLOW Show 2.0. Poll question today. Let me give you a little bit of an update here. Let's see where we're at. Today's very controversial ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll question. What should the Heat starting five look like? You got Butler, Bam, Hero, and who should the other two be in? Right now, the leader at 45% of the vote now is Lowry and Love. So, not most voters, but the majority of the vote, 45%, has Lowry back in the starting lineup when he returns, inexplicably, and going with Kevin Love, newest addition to the team. So there you have it. Let me give you a quick update here on what's going on with the Panthers. I told you Panthers back in action today, 1 p.m. against the worst team in the league, Anaheim Ducks. Better get that win. I think the Panthers lost at Anaheim back on that road trip out west. Panthers enter today. They are 1 point back of the 2 wildcard spots. Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders. Now it's the Islanders who jumped Washington. Pittsburgh and New York Islanders, 63 points. Washington and the Panthers, 62. So we can actually, if things break right today, are Pittsburgh and let me see if Pittsburgh and the Islanders are playing today. And Washington too, for that matter. All right, hang with me here. Let's see. Pittsburgh and the Islanders are playing each other. So you want to avoid a 3-point game there. You need a winner. So you want one of them to win. Washington's not playing today. One of them is going to win. But what I'm saying is you want one of them to win in regulation. You want to avoid a 3-point game. Those are the killers when you're chasing teams. So a Panther win today. If one of those teams wins in regulation, the Panthers will be in sole possession of second in the second wildcard spot. But here's the thing. While they're 1 point back of both those spots, Pittsburgh has 4 games in hand on the Panthers. That's very important. That's a lot. The Islanders and Panthers have played the same amount of games. So I think what you want here is you want the Islanders to beat the Penguins today. You want the Penguins to lose one of those games in hand. Well, I guess it's technically not a game in hand because Panthers are playing today also. But because the Penguins have games in hand, you want the Islanders to win today, and then you would jump Pittsburgh in the standings, at least temporarily. You'd still find yourself just 1 point back of the Islanders, who you're even in the games column. So I think as Panther fans, I think we're rooting for the Islanders today. That game is at 7 o'clock tonight. The game is in Pittsburgh. So hopefully the Panthers... So for a few hours, if the Panthers win today, it's a little bit fugazi, it's a little bit deceiving. But if the Panthers win today, they would have the number 1 spot in the wild card. All right. So I'll see you there. I'm looking forward to going to that this afternoon. Let's get to big deal or not a big deal. Come on now. You know how we do it. Oh, yeah. First of all, I got a number of things I got to tell you here, all right? If you're looking for somewhere to get some drinks tonight, it's President's Day, all right? You know Briny Irish Pub, Pompano Beach. Briny Irish Pub, Pompano Beach. That's my spot for all the games. But right now, we got no NBA. There's no NHL tonight because the Panthers are playing this afternoon. You just want to walk around on Pompano Beach. You want to take in the weather. Then you want to dip inside to the Briny, world's greatest upscale dive bar, Briny Irish Pub, Pompano Beach. You got drink specials every single weekday. 4 to 7 p.m. is Briny hour. That's happy hour. All kinds of craft beer on tap. You got mahi tacos. You got barbecue rib special tonight. Fish and chips. You know I love the shepherd's pie. Live music 7 days a week. So you walk on the beach, you dip into the Briny, you get some drinks, you get some food, you got live music. Atlantic Boulevard all the way to the Atlantic Ocean, but park behind the Briny because then you don't have to pay for your parking. They will validate your tag. World's greatest upscale dive bar, Briny Irish Pub, Pompano Beach. Also, so we usually do our NBA rundown on Mondays, all right? But, I'm not giving you NBA highlights from the All-Star game. I'm not. That was an embarrassment. And we'll get back to our full weekend recap of NBA rundown next week when we got some games. Those are always brought to us by Brunt Insurance. Let me tell you a little bit about Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance and Financial Services. You got to make sure you have your home covered. Home insurance, car insurance, motorcycle, boat. You got to have that peace of mind. So God forbid there's an accident, you're taken care of. Otherwise, you're paying everything out of pocket. You can't leave that to chance. Now, if you just go out there and search the marketplace, yeah, that could be confusing. Brunt Insurance and Financial Services, bruntinsurance.com, 954-589-2204. I'm talking comprehensive insurance and financial solutions that are tailored to your needs. I've been using Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance for about 10 years now to cover my home. Make sure I don't have any issues here, all right? But if you're also looking for auto, you're looking for life insurance, affordable care that's offering you the best coverage around. Hey, the marketplace, like I told you, it's confusing. Let Brunt Insurance sort it all out for you. Fully licensed staff. They know the area because they're covering Pensacola to the Keys and beyond. Again, bruntinsurance.com, 954-589-2204. Let's get to big deal or not a big deal. Come on now. You know the way we do it. Big deal or not a big deal to wrap up every show. I got a few things for you here. First up, big deal or not a big deal. WWE Elimination Chamber this Saturday night. Oh my God. What a show. Fantastic show. I watched the main event on late Saturday night. Watched the rest of the show on Sunday. And despite a Montreal crowd fully behind their hometown hero, Sami Zayn, it was the tribal chief retaining.
Spear to Sami. And again, no officials. Dan Engler back to his feet. Here's the count on Sami Zayn. And of all the damn ways Reign has...
Yeah, I'm going not a big deal, believe it or not. We always knew it's Roman versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Sami Zayn cannot be the champion going into WrestleMania. Despite the home crowd wanting it so bad, man. You heard them there. They were dead silent. It's the right move. Roman goes into WrestleMania as the champion, so I'm going not a big deal. Big deal or not a big deal? I watched the entire Canes basketball game Saturday afternoon. Canes, real good win against Wake Forest. The Canes remain a half game back of Pittsburgh, and Virginia for number 1 in the ACC. Virginia almost lost over the weekend to Notre Dame. Canes basketball, real good performance. They're getting good crowds at home at the Watsco Center. I'm going to try to go to the final home game of the season against Florida State, but the Canes remaining a half game back of first in the ACC. That's a big deal. Coach Larananga, them boys doing a good job out there. All right, so I'm going big deal. I enjoyed watching the Canes on Saturday afternoon. Big deal or not a big deal? Richard Belzer. Everybody knows Richard Belzer from Law & Order SVU. I mean, he's been in a million movies, other TV shows, but Richard Belzer, longtime SVU fame, passed away over the weekend. Oh, that's a big deal. Everyone had so many nice things, obviously, to say about Richard Belzer over the last couple days on social media. He played Munch, if you're wondering who was. Oh, Munch passed away. He was Munch. He was, Ice-T, Finn, Detective Finn. He was his partner for all those years on SVU. So Richard Belzer passed away over the weekend. That's a big deal. Nobody wants to see that. And that right there is another edition of Big Deal or Not a Big Deal. Finally, it's President's Day. We're kicking back. Maybe you spend some quality family time. If you're not feeling well, you got to get that taken care of. Doctors on Call 365. Doctors on Call 365 is South Florida's urgent care that comes to you. What if you weren't feeling well? What if you have a fever and you call your doctor and say, okay, we have an opening in 2 weeks, we could see you. I got to see someone right now. You call Doctors on Call 365 at 786-577-9302. Phones are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're getting someone on the phone immediately, and the doc is coming to see you that day in your home, your office, wherever you're at. You need a strep test, a COVID test, a flu test. Maybe need blood drawn. Maybe need IV fluids. Maybe need a prescription filled or refilled. Get it taken care of immediately. That's what Doctors on Call 365 is for. One of my favorite services. So convenient. I love it. Now, it's self-pay, but you're going to pay less out of pocket than if you go sat in that emergency room for 3 hours waiting to be seen, and then you pay your copay. They serve all of Broward County, Miami-Dade, Southern Palm Beach as well. DoctorsOnCall365.com, 786-577-9302. All right. Excellent job by everybody putting together a great show today. Make sure you like, you rate, you comment, you do all that good stuff. Go vote. Today's very controversial ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll at ZASLOW Show. Maybe I'll see you at the Panthers this afternoon. Can we start the show tomorrow with the Panthers holding the second wildcard spot? Is that possible? We'll talk to you tomorrow on ZASLOW Show 2.0. Know what that means.